Hey guys, this is Matt McCoy here, and we are going to begin our Get to Know series. It's a concept we came up with to really stay connected with everybody out there in the social distancing world we're in, and we're all learning to adjust to it on our own. And this is a way for us still to feel connected and get to know one another. And there's been a lot of changes here recently in the Sussex County area and beyond. And one I'm very pleasantly surprised to discuss is we have a new head man at the football head coaching position here in Seaford. That's Mark QUILLIN. And a lot of you out there might know Q, but for those of you who don't, I want to give Mark an opportunity to introduce himself to you guys and get an opportunity for you guys to get to know Mark because he's our new head man, and we'll go ahead in a different direction here for Seaford. So, Mark, if you don't mind, man, if you don't introduce yourself to the audience a little bit and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, Matt. First of all, I think this is a great idea. I'm a real people person anyway. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like texting. I don't like emails. I like talking to people face to face and shaking their hand and hugging if we need to and that type of thing. So it's been a real adjustment for me as a new head coach coming into to Seaford. A little bit about me as this is I just finished up my 30th year teaching and coaching. I'm 52. Married to the same woman for 26 years. I can't believe she's stuck with me for that long with football and all the sports we've done. I got two boys. Oldest son is 23, Travis. He graduated from Sussex Tech, and he just actually just graduated from Florida State University. He's working on becoming a West Palm Sheriff Department police officer here in the next year or so. He's living down there now. I've got a younger son who's graduated from Sussex Tech as well, plays lacrosse at the North Rhine. He's going to be 21 coming up in November. Had both boys home for about 2 months. That was a little bit of an adjustment, but that's okay. I think now that Travis is gone and Nathan's still home for another month, he's going to head back to school on the 23rd. So hopefully we'll get back to normal with my wife and I and get ready for football season. And whether it's going to be in the late fall or early spring, whatever happens, we're looking forward to it. And I'm just really excited about being a Seaford Blue Jay. I only was a Seaford Blue Jay for about 5 weeks there in the building, but I feel like I've been there since the day I started February the 11th. We've been working towards football and getting to know people and getting to know people in the community and reaching out to people. So looking forward to the adventure of being a Seaford Blue Jay for a long time.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you, man. You've been bringing a lot of energy in our Zoom meetings and giving us a lot of good direction and bringing a lot of positive energy to the Seaford Blue Jay football program. So we're thrilled to have you. You talked about your coaching experience. Before that, man, tell the audience a little bit about where did you grow up? Did you play any sports as a youngster there? Tell them a little bit about yourself as a super young man.
Well, I was actually born in D.C., District of Columbia. Actually, I'm adopted son of Nancy and Bernie QUILLIN. Stayed in an orphanage for about a year or so till my mom and dad adopted me and actually brought me into Calvert County where I grew up. There on the western shore, right outside of the Prince Frederick area, right on the water. Really nice situation. I really enjoyed my experience there. From there, I went on to Towson University, where I got an opportunity to play football there and get an education at Towson. Stayed there, met my wife there. We ended up building a house here in Shrewsbury. Ended up working in Baltimore County for a couple of years. Really enjoyed my experience there. I was at Towson High School for a little while. I was at Woodlawn High School for a little while in Baltimore County. I got an opportunity to be a head football coach at a school called Western School of Technology. So it was really a special situation there where I got an opportunity to start the football program. I started the football program, the wrestling program, and the baseball program. They actually had no sports there at all when I first started. So I was like a 23-year-old head football coach, making mistakes, running around, getting crazy and that type of thing. So great experience there. We had my first son, Travis, and we decided that we wanted to live down in the Eastern Shore, live closer to family. I got an opportunity to coach football at SU there, so we made the move. I started teaching over here in Mardella High School for a couple of years and coaching at SU, which is a great experience, not only in football but in teaching. From there, I got an opportunity to get over to Delmar High School, where I got hooked up with Coach Hearn for many years. I ended up being his D coordinator for over 10 years. Great experience there, being around him and his program and things that he's done that really molded me into the coach I am today, just spending time with him. He's got a great staff there and great kids. So really enjoyed that. I always wanted to be a head coach again. When I was in Baltimore, I was head football coach. I always want to get back to that. And Sussex Tech came to me with the opportunity to move up to the Division I level, something I was excited about, get a little taste of that. So I got a chance to do that for about 10 years. And then just this past season, I got an opportunity to be at Seaford High School and get back to a community school, which is probably where I feel more comfortable. Sussex Tech was a wonderful experience. Great people, great kids, good players. I enjoyed teaching there. But I lost a little bit of that community atmosphere at Sussex Tech. I really enjoyed that Del Mar community experience. So it's one of the reasons why I took a job at Seaford, to kind of get back to that same situation. And I'm about 10 minutes away. I live in Sharptown, so I'm just outside of Seaford area. So it's a real easy drive for me, and close. And I wanted to be close to home and be around a good, solid, traditional community.
Again, we're glad to have you in the community as well. It's a very strong Seaford community here. We're fortunate to have. And, you mentioned there for a little bit, you've been involved in various sports over the years. What about football? The sport of football really gets you fired up?
Football has always been special. Actually, I was sharing with my wife the other day and some friends of mine. We had gotten together, and this is the first time since I was 6 years old that I haven't done anything in the summer football related. And I think many of us that are lifelong football guys, the summers are for weight training, 7-on-7s, building the bond with not only kids with their teammates, but us coaches. We see each other in the evenings. We see each other during the summers. We go to camps together. I've gone to football camp for 30 years. Every summer I've gone to some camp, whether it's Westchester, whether it's at Salisbury University. So this is the first summer that really I haven't been in the weight room. I haven't been on the football field for 7-on-7. And it's been a little bit difficult, but football for me really got me through high school. That's probably why I think it's really so special to young men. It's the only reason I graduated high school. It's one of the only reasons I went on to college, is because of football. I just enjoyed being around it. It was just something special that was in me. Sports has always been a big part of my family. Growing up, my sons played everything. They played football. They ran track. They played basketball, not very well, but they played basketball. They wrestled. They played baseball. They played lacrosse. So it's always been a huge part of our family and building the young men that they are, because it's been such a blessing to me. Football has. So that's why I think it's really important for us to get back on the field. Of course, safety is always the most important thing. So I'm anxious to get back on the field and share with the young men in Seaford the great things that football does for young men. Having them grow up. The things that it teaches you that's outside of the building is extremely important. People don't realize the things that you learn through football. They think, just hitting each other and scoring touchdowns and being excited. Well, no, you learn so much more. You learn about commitment. You learn about hard work. You learn about being dedicated to something. The experiences young men have within that practice time, between their coaches, between each other, are things they carry on for their entire life. And people don't realize that sometimes they forget what they learn in English class, but they never forget their first football game. So I think it's really special to get those boys back out there safely. Of course, that's very, very important. But I'm excited to get them back out there and enjoying the wonderful, wonderful sport of football.
Amen to that, friend. Amen to that. From your lips to God's word, man. Absolutely.
I agree.
You mentioned the term "build" an awful lot there, and in your notation there. And we're here at Seaford, we're trying to rebuild a tradition that is from past years. Could you go into detail about what are your coaching philosophies and how you see that we can rebuild the Seaford tradition?
I've done a lot of, I've tried to talk to as many people that were involved in Seaford football back in the late 80s and early 90s. Luckily, I've got a good friend of mine, Clint Dunn, who has shared with me stories over the past. We've worked with me for 10 years at Tech, and he shared with me a lot of things. Mr. Sermon has shared things with me. Mr. Hollis has shared things with me. So there's a lot of the traditional things that Captain Dick did back in the 80s and early 90s that are kind of philosophies that I still hold. I still consider myself an old school football coach, even though I'm 52 and some of those guys are 60s and 70s still coaching football. But I still consider myself an old school guy, but I do try and bring the new school look into it and trying to evolve with the times of football. Rebuilding some of the basic things of being on time, the basic things of loving each other, the basic things of being to practice every day. The idea of being hard-nosed, tough, physical football players, and that alongs with being tough men. We need to build men that are a little bit tougher these days because, as we see, times are tough, man. It takes tough men to make it through times like this. And without the foundation of that mental and physical toughness to get through these times, it's important that you build that through football and through school and through the years when you're young. So there's so many things that Captain Dick taught back in the 80s and the 90s, I think are really, truly needed in these times of the 2019, 2020, 2021s coming up. So it's important to rebuild those things. We've taken the pit and rebuilt some things in there. We've kind of revamped some things. A lot of people had said, oh, yeah, it's so old down there, but it is so important to build on something that was so strong back in those 80s and 90s. You can't just throw something away. You've got to, modify a little bit. I mean, throw a little, some new paint on it and make it look a little bit nicer. But the tradition is still there. When you go down that pit, it's so special. When I walk on the Seaford football field, just yesterday I was at the field and I still felt those 80s and 90s and some of the things that Mr. Hollis shared with me and Mr. Sherman shared with me and Clint Dunn's talked about over the past 10 years since I've known about him. It's just, it gives me the chills just being around in that area. So hopefully we can bring that to the young men now. I think they have to understand the importance of the tradition that we had and some of the traditional philosophies of the old school things back in the 80s and the 90s that made Seaford so special, but yet make it in the 2020s, 2021 season with some new looks at football is changing. But football is evolving. So is our young people are evolving as well. But I think there are certain things that you got to be on time. You got to be at practice. You got to work hard. Those things never change, whether you're 12, 11, or 52. Those are the same show counts,
Absolutely. And, you talk about, Captain Dick and Coach Hollis and Ben Sermon. You're talking about the Seaford legacy right there. I mean, that is a tradition like a lot of schools in our area don't really have. So, we had that backbone to really educate our young people about Seaford was an amazing football program in years past. But you spin it forward for 2020 and beyond. What excites you about the challenge for the Seaford program moving forward?
Well, I think a lot of people, look at football as wins and losses. But trust me, when I coach football, I coach to win football games. We prepare that way. But I think there's a lot more, not only to winning football games. I think Captain Dick, Mr. Sermon, Mr. House, all them built champions for life through football. And talking with those men, they loved football. They loved winning football games. But that wasn't their ultimate goal. I think their ultimate goal was to change men's lives, to be a true important aspect of their life. A lot of times young men, that's all they have is us coaches. After 30 years, there's a lot of young men that they didn't have any dads or grandfathers. It was me. They learned a lot from me and the things that I share with them, being a father, et cetera. I watch a lot of my kids now. Unfortunately, I've gotten to the age now where some of my players now have their own kids. So I watch them being fathers and they're like, Coach, man, you taught me so much. I watch you with your sons, those types of things. So those types of things are really, really important for building those young men as we go through things. I don't know what's really happened in the past as far as the coaches go. I just know what I've seen, from the outside, that they really struggled with wins and losses. And our goal is to win football games. Don't get me wrong. Our goal is to continue to be, and keep moving forward as far as being able to be competitive in the Henle Open Conference. We want to be competitive in the state over the years, if not early. I think there's some great athletes within the school district here in Seaford. I think some of them leave for various reasons. And one of my main goals is to keep them here. Let's keep them home. Let's keep Seaford people in Seaford. And that's really important. Young men, young women, we just hired some, I know there's a lot of Seaford alumni that are teaching at Seaford. Andrew Lamberton is a great example. He's a Seaford product and he's back in there. Clint Dunn always told me, Coach, if you ever get the Seaford job, I would love to come back. So he's a Seaford alumni coaching at Seaford. So I think those are important, tying the traditional things to things that are going on right now with our young men.
Absolutely. And I think, when you get into coaching, one of the things you really realize quickly is the relationship you build on the field extends far beyond the football field. And these young men and women, they really do attach themselves to you on some level as a mentor, coach, and somebody to really guide them in the future. You take on an additional role well beyond the field. So that's to me, it's one of the best things about coaching. So I've really grown to enjoy that aspect of coaching. And Q, I know you got a busy schedule. I'm going to get you out of here on this last one, though.
Gotcha.
You haven't had a chance to, some scholar athletes you haven't had a chance to connect with maybe, or the Seaford community and our current COVID-19 situation. If you had a message for the young athletes out there or the community, what would you tell them?
During these tough times, my biggest thing is stay healthy, stay well, stay positive. This is really some things that really, sometimes the hardest things to handle are things you can't control. I know I've struggled a lot since March, controlling the things that I have no control over. I have no control over when DOE tells us when to go back to school. I have no control over what DIAA says about football. Sometimes that's really, really tough. Be positive, keep moving forward. I try and reach out to the players every Wednesday and Friday. I do a Warrior Wisdom Wednesday, and I send it out to all the players that I have through social media or on a personal text or whatever it may be, just to have some type of connection. And on football, we do Football Fridays. Last Friday, I just sent them pictures of the pit. Just pictures of the pit lets the kids know, hey, man, we're still moving forward. We may be kind of in a lull right now as far as some of our decision makers and some of our lawmakers trying to make decisions of what's best for our community and our football programs and fall sports. But keep plugging away, be positive, take care of yourself. That's extremely important. And once we really get things solid in what we're going to be doing, we've got a couple plans as coaches. Of course, as you know, Mr. McCoy, you're on my coaching staff. So we've got several, schedules and ideas of how we're going to handle things once we can get back. And once we get back, it is game on. We're going to work on building relationships. We're going to work on being better football players. We're going to work on being better young men. We're going to focus on winning football games and building champions for life. So hang in there, be strong. If you are a Seaford resident or a Seaford student, you're thinking of leaving, hang in there, stay with us. I promise you things will continue to get better here, not only with the COVID-19 situation, but with our schools. Dr. Miklas is absolutely fantastic. I've been around for 30 years, being around principals and superintendents, and he is probably one of the most supportive men that I've been around, not only for football, but for everything. I enjoy talking to him. It's like talking to somebody that you've known for years when you run into him. We just, the new principal, she's a wonderful lady, Dr. Jarvin Horsey. She's very supportive. I've just really enjoyed so far the first 5 weeks of being a teacher / culture coordinator here, but just being able to be around him, and whether it's a Zoom meeting or a phone call, it's just a great group of people that are there at Seaford. So, hang in there. I think things are continuing to improve, not only on the health wise, but once some decisions are made, I think we can move forward. And last but not least, of course, go Jays, baby. We're going to get things going. Once they give us a go, man, better look out, because we're going to come at you.
Yes, sir. Go Jays indeed. And again, Q's got a very positive message. He's done, even in a short term here, he's done a great job of galvanizing the coaching staff, getting us on the same page. And to his point, hey, man, we're going to move forward at some juncture here. We're going to move forward together. And I know times are rough out there, but again, staying together, staying connected, that's part of the reason we're doing this thing today, is really staying connected the ways we can now, because, God willing, we're going to move beyond this at some point in time. We'll get back to real life as we know it. So, but Q, man, I want to thank you for joining us, man. Again, you're, been a real galvanizing force for the coaching staff so far, bring a lot of energy, and I can't wait to see what is in store for the Seaford football program in the near future.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the invite, and like I said, just yours as an example. We've got 10 great coaches, man, and what a great group of men we have. They're really going to build those kids, and I'm really excited about the season starting. And just be safe. That's the biggest thing. We got to stay safe and well, and like I said, baby, go Jays. We're coming at you. Ha-ha.
Go Jays indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Again, we're trying to keep these relatively short and manageable so you guys can check them out. We're going to continue to bring you some of the more interesting people we have in our community. And again, an opportunity to get to know people that in this social distancing world we're currently living in, we have to figure out some creative ways to do so. And this is an opportunity for you to get to know Mark Quillin. This will be posted on Facebook here later on. If you have any questions for the coach, jot them down in the comment section. I'll make sure he gets them and gets back at you. Because again, we're rebuilding tradition here in Seaford, and Quillin is going to be leading the charge. So from Coach Q and Coach McCoy, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll check you out again next time.
Great.